Welcome back to Unraveled Game Thoughts. It's been, I don't know, 4 months or something since my last video. It's been a long time. And I'm finally getting back into trying to do something. Life, work, family, lots of things just kind of compete for time. And all of them are important. And so trying to craft out time for playing games, for ranking games, for creating these videos, editing, all that jazz. It just takes a lot of time. So here I am. I saw several folks posting their top 10 games from 2023, and I was getting a little jealous. So I thought I will jump in to the mix, and I will also post my top 10 games for 2023, and then I'll feel like I am at least contributing to the masses who are sharing their thoughts on these games. So, and it's 2023. There are a ton of games that I did not get to. In fact, I'll scroll through a few things here and maybe touch on a few games that I don't know if I want to call them runners-up quite yet, but they were games that I played last year that I found interesting but didn't make my list. So Darwin's Journey was an interesting game. I would play it again, and I have a friend who owns it who let me borrow it and try it out. It struck me as kind of more or less a dryish Euro game, but cute theme, and it wasn't not fun to play. So it didn't make my list of games I really have a huge desire to go back to over and over again, but it was still a fun game. And some of I played with the Kickstarter version, so it had some nice components and pieces to it that made it a little more fun. I don't think, White Castle didn't make my top games of 2023, but that one was pretty stinking close. White Castle, I really want to play it multiple times because it's one of those games that has just a really neat puzzle, but I do wonder if at the end of that will it run its course, and then like it'll kind of fall down the list and become more of an average. This is a neat, fun game. Once you figure out the puzzle, it's just okay. I could be very wrong. Maybe it's just really great to keep coming back to. I do enjoy it. But sometimes when I play a game, I kind of like, all right, I want to crack the puzzle for this, but I think once I crack it, it won't be quite as something. Okay, I don't care if I play it anymore after that. We'll see. We'll see. I went ahead and left the expansions in when I did my advanced search here, so things like Ark Nova, Marine Worlds are in here. Fantastic expansion. I love it, but I'm not really including expansions per se in this realm. Played Distilled last year. That was interesting. Fun, largely because it was like about alcohol and there's some unique mechanics, but it felt pretty dry. The overall mechanisms kind of I thought it wasn't one that I like. I'd play it again, but probably only if somebody was offering it, and I don't know that I would ask to play it again. Let's see, I played Nucleum. I like Nucleum. Not as high on it as a lot of people. Not that it's not fun. It's just, I'm trying to think. It just doesn't hit me in a unique way. I almost play that game and I feel like, well, this is a neat set of mechanisms, but I don't think it's as good as Brass Birmingham. I don't think it's as good as Barrage, which it gets compared to both of those games. I think it's a lesser version of both of those games, and I think something that does something similar will come out down the road that'll actually be better than Nucleum. So I think Nucleum is going to end up being kind of a, it'll just fall. I don't even know well, technically I played Nucleum Australia. I haven't actually played this version of Nucleum, but having heard what's in this one as compared to Nucleum Australia, I think it's Australia. It's either Australia or Argentina. I think it's Nucleum Australia. I know that I would like the Australia better than this one for sure, because this is missing a particular mechanism that the Australia has that I thought was very valuable in that game. But it is also a game where maybe with multiple plays I would enjoy it more. I've only played it once, so maybe a couple more I might enjoy it more. But I felt, honestly, Nucleum felt a little bit like Barcelona to me, where it was just doing a lot of stuff, but like neat mechanisms, but the theme didn't really like do it for me in conjunction with those mechanisms. So that was a little bit of a runner-up. I have not played Dune Imperium Uprising. Really want to play that. Apiary I played. Enjoyed it. Want to play that a lot more. Didn't make my list of games. Kutnahora, played that. Very fun game. Almost made my list. Really cool. This is Darwin's Journey Collector's Edition. I think that's what I actually played. Let's see. Heard about Septima. Haven't got a chance to play that one yet. Rolling Heights, I'd like to try at least once. I don't think it's going to be a huge hit. Zuvadis, I've heard of. Never played it. Would love to play it. Nar, I played a few times on VGA. That was pretty fun. I enjoyed Nar. I wouldn't mind playing that some more. I haven't gotten a chance to play Evacuation. That one's one I would really like to. I have not played Jerusalem Anno Domini. Really want to play that. It's actually on my shelf. I just haven't gotten it to the table yet. Too Many Bones Unbreakable. Fantastic. Now I kind of call this an expansion, so I would probably not say. I mean, it's not that much different from Too Many Bones, but Too Many Bones is pretty cool. So it was much cooler than I thought it would be. Fox Experiments 1, I really want to play. Haven't gotten a chance to play that. I don't own the game. I don't know anybody who owns it. So I haven't played Cascadia with Landmarks. Again, expansion, so I wouldn't include it in my list, but that is one I would love to see. So Everdell Farshore, another one on my list that I would really like to play. It's on my shelf, and I got like 3/4 of the way through a game, and my family didn't finish with me. So I've yet to finish a game, so I can't really count it as being played fully. But I do think I like it better than Everdell. After Us, I got to play. It was okay. I think it feels a little empty as a deck builder, but it's not bad, and it's fun to play. But I found it to be a maybe slightly more than above average game, but not much. Tapestry Fantasies and Futures I've played a few times. That's pretty fun as an expansion. I might have played My Island, but I can't remember. If I did, it was a long time ago. And there's more. I've played several more that are in here, but not. If I go to the next page, I could probably find them. So without further ado, I'm going to start with my number 10, and it probably is in this list, honestly. Probably toward the top. I actually thought I saw it, and it is Expeditions by Jamie Stegmaier, and this was published by Stonemaier Games. Not a Scythe expansion. It is more Scythe universe adjacent, and I would say this is like almost a pick up and deliver type of game, because you're going to explore different areas on the map. You're discovering some of those tiles, flipping them over. You gain things. You're going to get those things and try to go to other tiles and deliver or build your mech up, which is largely what you're doing, is building on your mech to some degree. Couple of different point scoring opportunities in the game. I'm honestly not 100% sure what I think about this game. I played it once. I did enjoy it. I would like to play it again, maybe a couple more times before I know for sure. I gave this a 7.79 at this point after that one play, which essentially means I'd like to play it again, but I don't know that I'm going to be wanting to own this one. I did get to play a very upgraded version of it. I had metal mechs and all the bells and whistles that you could have with the really super expensive edition of it. So I know that my gameplay experience is not impacted by having the lesser components or not having as cool a edition. I had the coolest edition to play with in this particular case. So, want to play it again. Liked it. 7.79. I could see this one going up or down either way. So this is one of those games where it's like, I really can't tell. And I'm not sure how well I played the first time around with the choices I had. But the game went, we were all learning except for one of us. So relatively slow as we had a lot of learning and adjusting to the symbology of this one. But everybody there had played Scythe, I think. So it was not too hard to pick up on a lot of things not because the exact actions translate from Scythe, but you have some basic understanding of what's going on thematically, at least a little bit. That is my number 10, Expeditions. So let's go on to number 9. And my number 9 was a little bit of a surprise to me. I actually pulled this game out of the library. And this is Sail by Akiyama Koryo and Kozu Yusei. And the publisher is All Play. So when I was at BGG Con last November, I grabbed this from the library, largely because it had cool art. Artist is Werberson Santiago. I liked his art. It's kind of a neat style. Looked fun, small box. I'll get this out. I'll learn it. I'll see what I see about it. I think I'd heard about it on a podcast. Wanted to check it out. I like trick-taking games. So, whoa. Excuse me. I figured it'd be worth trying. And another fella sat down and played with me. Asked me if I was looking for somebody to play with. I said sure, because it was kind of early in the morning and not a lot of people were up. None of my people were up. And we sat down and we played it. We learned the rules. Each player is going to get a pirate. Your pirate gives you a sort of some kind of slightly rule-breaking ability. You're going to do something a little different. And when you take your tricks. And there's 3 suits. And the different mixtures of tricks will either cause this sea creature to come up and do a damage to you, or you might get to do a damage to the sea creature, or you're going to have to move your boat one way or another. Usually moving the boat also implies the sea creature will often do some damage to you if you get to move your boat. There's some other mitigating factors, but you get to trade, I think, one card at the beginning of a round. You get to trade a card with your opponent, not your opponent, your partner, who's also trying to sail the boat with you. And like Sky Team, you can discuss things between rounds a little bit, strategy, and then during the round you're not supposed to talk. So it's a really it's not the most complicated trick-taking game, but I found it to be pretty fun. I ended up going and buying a copy of the game, and then even got like all the like really cool pieces, and there's an expansion to it. You can add some more things to the game. I haven't played any of the expansion material, but it's if you just like sitting down and just trying to play a nice light trick taking game, I thought this is fantastic. I scored it 8.16, so not bad. I'm not going to want to get this out every single time, but it is one that I feel the call to play and am happy to have in a collection. It's not even a bad game if somebody doesn't really understand how trick-taking works. It's not a terrible game to learn how to do that. And each round is variable length because the once one player has taken 4 tricks, your round ends. So if you go back and so if that one player was to take 4 tricks in a row, that's your round. And the thing is, at the end of every round, you're going to take some damage from the sea kraken. And if you can extend your round, you can potentially do some damage to the sea kraken and also allow yourself to get further along in the sea. So you don't necessarily want to end in just 4 rounds. You want to kind of get as far down that ocean as you can, and maybe even extend your rounds up to, I think 7 is the most you can get in a round, 7 turns, because each of you gets 3, and then when that last person gets 4, then the round's over. So fun game. Sail. If you like trick takers, I would highly recommend it. If you want to learn about how a trick-taking game works that's cooperative, that's not a bad way to go. Kind of some similarity to The Crew, The Quest for Planet 9, although I'd say that one still is higher complexity trick-taking wise, and would still say that one's a better one than Sail, but Sail's pretty good. So that is my number 9, and moving on to my number 8, which was a surprise for me this year. I've had it on my shelf for a bit. I traded for it. Is a solo game, and I wasn't really expecting a ton from it. But once I got Legacy of You to the table and started playing it, I've enjoyed it. And I find myself really wanting to get it out and play it more. This is by Shem Phillips and from Garfield Games. And every game you play, you're essentially doing the same thing. You have a canal you're trying to build. You're trying to build it fast enough so the flood doesn't catch you. You have barbarians that come across the top of the board. You don't want to get overwhelmed by the barbarians, so you have to attack them and defeat them. And you have buildings and whatnot that you can build. And you're going to start with some town folks. And to some degree, it's a deck builder because you're trying to get as many of those town folks, or quite a few of those town folks, into your deck, and then you can use them for resources and various other things. And it's very challenging. I've played 3 games so far. I've lost 2 and won 1. The one I won, I was like, oh, I got this. You just got to build the deck up. And that's the one I did the best in, is just getting cards into my deck, more townsfolk, and then using those townsfolk once I got through the deck. And I wonder if I got away from it in the 3rd game. Although I did it a little, but then I tried to kind of balance it more. And then this next game I play, I might just push hard, get townsfolk, and then see if that makes a huge difference. If that's like kind of the big effect of winning the game. To win the game, you have to have tons of townsfolk to help you out. Because defeating the barbarians is quite hard. And I unlocked a card that basically is a fortress that I'd like to attack and defeat, but it takes a lot of resources to do it. And trying to get your stuff all in order so you have the resources to both defeat the barbarians, to prevent the flood by building canals, and also maybe attack this fortress, which is also going to have a barbarian. It's pretty tough. So, but I enjoy it. And it's got a really good setup and takedown. It's super fast to... I wonder if they have a picture here of the inside of the box. If they do, that would be fantastic, because that's just the front of the board. There's your basic board, all your resources. They have a nice picture of the inside of the box where you can see the components. Okay, this is a good picture. So the box here, everything, like if you look on the right side of the box, there's a list of where every component goes. The left side is kind of your resources, so meeples, plastics, things like that. They're going to go on that left side. And all the other stuff, your cards and stuff, go on the right side here. And they're organized really well. Super, super well. See if I can make this bigger. Yeah, because you got your study deck, your story deck. And I think the story deck is kind of the magic of this game. The way it works, it's like you've got a front card and a back card that form kind of like the covers of a book, and then inside there's the cards numbered 1 through whatever number they go to. I can't remember how many there are, maybe 90, 100 some odd cards, and you have the storybook that you can see here on the left side of the picture. And there are certain cards that come out in the game or that you flip as you build things, and they're going to have a number in the storybook. You read that story, And then that's often going to give you a card that you're adding from the story deck, either into one of your basic setup components or into your actual game or your barbarians or various other things. It's going to be some part of the story that you're going to have to interact with down the road or maybe immediately in this particular game that you're playing. So you only play, I want to say there's 7 victory and 7 defeat. So once you've been victorious 7 times or you have been defeated 7 times, then the game is over and then you can reset the whole thing and start over. And it doesn't, like, depending on how you build things and in what order and all that, like, it can be different. The storybook is not like you're going to get through the whole thing in one game. It would take several plays of a full playing the whole thing out to really get through all the things in the storybook. And even then, I don't know how many it would take to do that. So Legacy of You is more fun than I thought it was going to be. I rated it an 8.18. That could end up going up higher. The only thing that might keep it from going up higher is you are playing the same thing again over and over again. You're not like doing, I mean, it's the same board. It doesn't change. You start off in kind of the same place. The only thing that changes is which cards might be in your village cards, which cards you might draw for your starting deck, and then what barbarians you might be facing. So over the course of multiple plays, we'll see how well that plays out with the limited resources that you start with. But it's quite fun. I've enjoyed it. All right, that is my number 7, Legacy of You. My number 8 is one that I started playing on BGA, and I really enjoyed it. Probably played 10, 15 games on there. And I ended up buying this at BGG-Con as well, as far as Shuffle. So while it has probably its fair share of people who maybe don't like one thing or another, this is by Kosh, who I'm sure has done other things, and published by Lookout Games. I am actually kind of curious what Kosh has done. So I feel like I've seen, oh, he did Fife. Fife is one of my favorite games, so that's fantastic. I did not realize he did that one. Forest Shuffle is, you got a deck of trees and forest creatures, basically. Bugs, insects, flora, fauna, all those things. You have to have a tree down in order to play the animals and creatures around that tree. But you can have up to 4 on each given tree. Sometimes more, because sometimes like rabbits can stack, and every card in the game scores points in a different way. So it's very pointsality in what you're doing. But I think it's a lot of fun, and it's just enjoyable. Even like when I don't win, I have fun trying to create either to get the bonuses or create a combo in the game that works really well. And you know, it was really just a race to see who can create combos the fastest. And then there are the deck that the game ends. There's these 3 winter cards in the main deck, and once you get to the 3rd one, instant end. You don't even get to finish your turn if you draw that card. And I like how quickly it goes. Just trying to amass as many points as fast as you can. So that is Forest Shuffle. What did I give that? 8.23. So pretty good score on that one. Now the scores are jumping up for me for this next one. Again, I got this one at the conference, saw it, and was like, ooh, I've heard good things about this. I want to play it. Sky Team. This is a 2-player game, so similar to Sail, 2-player only. And I've played a few of these in person. I've only played my own personal base game, just the base game, a couple of times. But I've been playing it on BGA as well with the same guy, the buddy that sat down and played Sail with me. Ended up playing Sky Team with him quite a bit on BGA, and have really enjoyed that. But yeah, Sky Team, each of you is going to get a set of dice. One of you is the pilot, one of you is the co-pilot, and you're going to roll your dice, and then there's a couple of places on the board. 2 of your dice are going to have to go in those 2 places. The one place determines how level your plane's going to be, so you always have a dice on that one. And then you're going to have one that determines how fast your plane is going, and you're always going to have to put a dice there. So 2 of your dice are accounted for. The other 2 dice you can kind of put anywhere you want on the board, as long as it's one of your co-pilot or pilot spaces. I've been playing as the co-pilot largely, but there's again no talking. You kind of can make a plan. Hey, let's try to go for this. But then once you roll the dice, it's you're kind of at the mercy of the dice, and you can't talk to each other. There are these reroll tokens you can earn, and if you use a reroll token, then both of you will get to reroll dice. And you don't have to reroll all of them. You can just pick which dice you want to reroll. And then there's also a place where you can like you got a dice you just can't use. You can make coffee, and coffee can be used to mitigate the dice, changing the number up or down 1 for each coffee you use. So there's only 3 coffee spots though, so 3 is the most you'll be able to move the dice up or down. So it's a little bit it's a lot of fun. It's tricky. There's some things on the board you have to get done in a certain order, and I've played quite a few of the modules now on BGA, and they are not easy. Some of them a little easier than others, but they're pretty challenging. And we're playing one right now where it's like the wind, like the way the wind is, makes your plane go faster when you're thrusting. And so you have to either play really low dice to keep it real slow, or you have to like get your plane to turn so that you have more drag on the plane, and it takes away some of the wind coming into the landing. So very, very intriguing mechanics for something a very simple to play game, but a whole lot of fun. So definitely recommend this if you need a 2-player game that's pretty enjoyable and offers some good challenges. And even if you kind of figure out a good system that works well, I feel like it's still fun and feels good when you get that plane to land successfully. So that is Sky Team. All right, that is my number. And that's by designed by Luc Raymond, and the publisher is Scorpion Mask. All right, number 5. Top 5 games. All right, I've got to go fairly fast. I actually am on dinner duty tonight, so I'm trying to get through these next 5 relatively quickly. Number 5 is Earth. Earth was a lot of fun. Now, I got this earlier in the year. This is by Maxime Tardif, published by Inside Up Games. I've played it multiple times. I played it a couple times on BGA. I really like the... it's really point salad, but I really like how the mechanisms all work together. You're building these trees, you cards score points, and they're all kind of thematically scoring points in a lot of ways. You're building up a tableau, so definitely a tableau builder, but you have a lot of freedom over how you build that to some degree, although you are locked into like you have to place cards next to other cards that you've placed already. And it's just really very well designed game. So I'm not sure if there's any expansions coming. Let me look in the expansions here just to see if there's anything planned. It wouldn't shock me if there was something. A couple of promos. Yeah, I don't see anything beyond the promos. But beautiful art, beautiful game. It's one of those few games where, I mean, as soon as I got it, I'm like, I'm sleeving this game. It's all cards, so lots of things to consider when you're trying to think about how I'm going to best score my points. But lots of fun. Probably, I don't know if it's the best tableau builder that I know of, but one of my favorite tableau builders that I'm aware of. So that is Earth. And then let's go on to number 4. And I have played this game in full a couple of times now. And this is just a great game. If there ever is a professional judgment of games, like we have the sort of the common people's rating system here on BGG, but if they ever do like games that are professionally rated, and, this game is quality and good for as a game and as whatever I don't know, professional rating system, I feel like this one would score very high. I have it as a 9.3. This is by Vangelis Bagiertakis and Varnavas Timotheo, and published by Hegemonic Project Games. And I probably messed up those names, but that is the best I can do for now. This is just a very good asymmetric game where you play as either the state, the upper class, or the capitalist, not the upper class, the state, the capitalist, the middle class, or the working class. One of those four classes. This is one of those games that certainly you want to play a 4-player game if you can. That's just your best game. And it's just a lot of fun. I mean, it also asymmetric. How everybody scores points is very different. The game's not that hard to learn. A lot of it's just kind of like Root. Like Root's not a hard asymmetric game to learn. It just takes time because you're basically learning 4 different games, or 5 in Root's case, maybe 6 or 7. And then everybody's playing the game, and the game structure kind of follows a very similar pattern. But but what you're doing and how you're scoring points and going about your game is very different for those 4 factions in Hegemony. So, great game though. I've only played as the working class and the state. I did much better as the state than I did the working class. But the working class was my very first game, and I want to go back and play it again. This is just a fun game. I think it'd be fun if I could get 4 people and we could sit down and we all just rotate which class we play as we go through the game. I think it'd be fantastic, and just play 4 games in a row. It would take forever. You can see it's a 90 to 180 minute game, so yes, that would take forever, but it would be a huge blast. So there you go. That is my number. What did I say? What am I on? That's my number 4. Hegemony. My number 3, I was fortunate to playtest this game early on, I think in 2022, and it finally came at the end of 2023, just before I went to BGG-Con. I actually took this with me there and got to play a 4-player game there, and I have probably played about 4 or 5 games of this. Really, really, really fun game. I very much enjoy this game. This one's by S.J. McDonald and Shem Phillips. I feel like when those two pair together to make a game, they make the best games. Published, of course, by Garfield Games. It's crunchy, it's thick, it takes some time to learn. I feel like all the games I played have been teaching games. I have yet to sit down and play with people who already know how to play. And I've had a blast at all those games, but they take a while. There's a lot of decision making to go through in the game. It's pretty heavy. 4.01, that I might say it might even be a little heavier than that. Maybe about 4.23 or something like that. And the reason being, it's not so much, the rules are very well written. It's not hard to set up. Takes a little bit of setup, but not much. And where it really is crunchy is your decision making in what action am I going to take on my turn. I mean, you only have 4 actions. But I would say the weight of choosing your action and what you want to do is something akin to a Vital Lacerda game. There's so many ramifications to that action and so many different things to do to get the resources you want to get, and ultimately to translate the scrolls you want to translate, because that's where you're getting your in-game points, is by translating scrolls. But you have to build up to translate a scroll. So the kind of quirky mechanic they have in this game is that each action requires either a power, a number, or both. A number, a color, or both number and color. And so you kind of have to be somewhat familiar with the color wheel, yellow, blue, and red, and the colors that when you mix each of those two versions together to get purple, orange, and green. Those are secondary colors, so those are your more powerful actions that use purple, orange, or green, and your primaries are going to still be powerful for the blue, yellow, and red, but not quite as powerful. And then there's a few things on the board that don't take any color and just a very low number, but they tend to be less powerful, as you might imagine. So it's, having played it 3 or 4 times now, I have a much better bead on the value of certain things on the board, but when it comes to making a decision on my turn, I can make it a little faster than I used to, but I can definitely see why it's so hard for other folks to crunch through all the decisions that are there. Great game though, love it. Scholars of the South Tigris, I think I like this one better. Pretty sure I like this one better than Wayfarers of the South Tigris. I think this is my favorite Garfield game, is Scholars of the South Tigris. So we'll see when Inventors comes out how that compares, but this one's pretty good. Where are we? Number 2 is Great Western Trail, New Zealand. Now, I played this at BGG-Con, not BGA, BGG-Con, and as soon as I finished the game, I was like, well, this is going to replace my Great Western Trail. I immediately went down to look for it in the vendor area, and it was, of course, sold out. And I ended up looking online and found a nice discounted copy online. And I was like, okay, this replaces Great Western Trail 2nd Edition. I really like Great Western Trail 2nd Edition. I enjoy it. I'll play it on BGA once in a while. I still have fun with it, but man, this one just replaces it. I've never played Great Western Trail Argentina. Watched a playthrough or two. Didn't feel a ton of desire to play that one, but this one I knew I wanted to play. I like the idea of the sheep. I like the idea of the shearing. I feel like there's a lot more opportunities for points in this one in different ways, and it feels a little bit more like resource management than a race, whereas Great Western Trail 2nd Edition feels more like a race to be the most efficient and race to Kansas City as fast as you can and as many times as you can. This one has a little bit of that, but also feels like there's more to set up. The deck building element is fantastic because all those cards you get that are deck building cards, whenever you draw them, you do their effect and then you discard them and then you draw another card. And so to replace that card. And so they don't take up space in your deck the way, say, like point cards do in Dominion. They just give you the little bonus and then you move on. And it's just very, very well done. I feel like it's like all the things you want from Great Western Trail that they've improved on and made. And so even like, I'm trying to think of a few other things they improved on. One is the, used to be you take the hazards. I feel like taking a hazard just felt like, I don't want to have to take a hazard, but I might get it out of my way. And if I can happen to find an objective that uses one, that's even better in the 2nd edition. In this one, the hazard gives you a little bit of a bonus. You get at least a deck building card you can add to your deck, which is kind of nice. And it's not just pulling the hazard off the board, it's also getting that deck building card. So pretty fun from that standpoint. But yeah, this one is, of course, by Alexander Pfister, and Eggert Spielt is the publisher. I do recommend this one. There's probably people out there that would like to have all of them. The 2nd edition, the New Zealand, the Argentina, but I tend to like to have just the best version of a game and then not have every single other version. So Great Western Trail New Zealand, my number 2, 9.5. It's a really great game. I love playing this game, so I think this one will be pretty high in my collection for a long time. All right, last and number 1. I do feel like it's a little bit of a cheat because it's not a game that, it's not a 2nd edition, or it's really like a better edition of a game that's been around for a long time. So Castles of Burgundy has been around for a while, I think since 2011. And this one's by Stefan Feld. This is published by Awakened Realms. And what they did is they just came across, they just took Castles of Burgundy and they made this special edition with, I got the acrylic tiles. They're super fun to handle. I got the metal coins. I've got the what do you call it? The sun-dropped castles. I didn't get all the buildings for all the different things. I thought that would be a little too much, a little too over the top. But I mean, it's like $160 for this thing. But I will say that the very first time I played Castles of Burgundy, I immediately loved it. I play it a lot on BGA. I really enjoy Castles of Burgundy. It's a lot of fun. I I never bought it because I was like, man, this thing is so ugly. Like, I mean, I guess I can get a better version, but I didn't think the better versions, like 10th anniversary edition or whatever, were that much better. They were kind of still ugly, and the original was ugly as sin. And I'd look at it and be like, I'm just like, every time I look at it, I'll be like, I want to get a prettier game off my shelf. And it's not like I play every game just because it's pretty, but it does make a difference. It does make a difference. So, and especially if I'm trying to get my family to play, they are going to respond much better to a game that looks really pretty. Well, I backed this, I got it, and we have played this a bunch of times. People love playing this version of the game. My family's played it a whole bunch of times. I've had my, like my son complain, like, we're gonna play a game again because I failed as a parent getting my kids to love games as much as I do. But he'll start playing this and he'll be like, a couple turns in, I forgot how much fun this was. Like, and they just love the tactile nature of the special edition. So I feel like as far as games that are pretty pricey go, this was a good investment. This was something my family enjoys. It's something everybody I bring it to the table to play with enjoys. It's just a super fun experience. So that's my number one. 9.51. Castles of Burgundy is pretty high. There's only a handful of games that score higher than that on my top 100 list. So I'm kind of curious. I don't want to reveal anything because I'll do the top 100 soon. But yeah, I've only got 6 games scoring higher than that. And so 2023 was a good year. 2023 was a real good year. I've got, it looks like 5 games from 2023 in my top 20. In my top 20. That's pretty good. That's not bad. Now, warranted, some of them are like Castles of Burgundy was pretty high. And so it just, the special edition just replaces the regular, I guess you could say. And then Great Western Trail was already pretty high. That was in my top 20. So New Zealand just replaces the regular Great Western Trail. Yeah, so there's a little bit of cheating with some of that, but it's that's pretty good year, I would say, overall. But thank you for listening. If you have sat through it this far, I would love to hear what your top 10 are. If you feel up to posting a comment and like to share some of the games that you have played, or games that I never mentioned in the whole video that you're like, man, you should try this one. There are several that I know I want to try, and like mini lists that are done at the end of 2023 or beginning of 2024, like hardly anybody's played all of these games, and so I'm sure there'll be many more that kind of move around. I get to play and I get to try out, and then they'll make the list one way or another. But again, have a great rest of your weekend from Unraveled Game Thoughts. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you are up to it, and I will post my Patreon in the notes, and what do I use? Patreon and Ko-Fi. Yeah, Patreon and Ko-Fi, and I think I started adding Buy Me a Coffee because, Patreon and Ko-Fi, you're kind of signing up for like support somebody for a while, and maybe you just want to say, hey, here's $3 coffee, like that's like a one-off kind of thing. And so I've started adding that, although I tend to link it to a different site that I have, but I'll throw it in there just for the sake of trying to build support. I love making these videos. They're a lot of fun. A lot of it's just time. I just need the time to do it, and I hope hopefully I don't look like I'm at retirement age, but it probably won't be till closer to retirement that I get to spend maybe more time doing this if I'm still hanging around by then. But yeah, have a great evening.